James, as you can.
Thank you. Remind me, if you know Frank or anyone from CPS is coming in, next time they come in to make sure OJ knows, because he's still having trouble getting his outlook on his phone.
Did you do the multi-factor?
Yeah.
You did all that.
I did it, I went through it and I got into my email. And then the next time I went to do it, it wouldn't let me in
Oh, so you were able to get in once?
once. And I went back to the multi thing, authorization, authentication, and it wouldn't let me back in.
So. He said he doesn't want him to come up for a special trip for the next time they come up.
You will be, I need him to help me with the gap program.
Just give me a day's notice, I'll bring my
You got it.
phone in when he's here, not to pay him separate, special trip.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's,
I might be able to take a look at it, but not tonight. I'm too tired.
yeah,
I could make it worse.
all right, we're at 5:30, let's call the meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is the minutes from our last meeting.
I had one thing,
Yep, go ahead.
line 64. Like to add at the end of that, the town received a $1 million USDA community facilities grant. It's in there, but that's part of
Anything else?
Nope.
Jack?
Nothing.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of October 23rd as amended.
All those in favor?
Aye. Right, you know, and there's no, we didn't have non-public.
Hey, OJ,
Yes.
the last couple of meetings, I've had a hard time hearing you guys. Is there, and I've turned it up on my end, all I can do. Is there something in the volume that you can turn up on your end? Because it's the last couple of times I've been trying to hear you, it's been a little difficult.
So close to us.
Okay, thank you. We were not aware of that.
Paul, same here.
Can you hear me now?
Jack, I can always hear you. It's the other two.
That's not the one you wanted to hear, right?
That's better. That's a little better. Thank you very
A
much.
little closer, that make a big difference, yeah?
Yeah, it makes a difference. Thank you.
Okay, good.
All right. Next on the agenda is, the public hearing for the proposed purchase of town-owned land. This is the first of two public hearings that the Board of Selectmen is holding on this. We have a purchase and sales agreement from Kurt O'Connell Builders to purchase one of the lots in the business park. I think we mentioned this at previous meeting. The next step was to put this before the planning board. That happened last week. And the planning board offered no objections and found everything fine. So this is the first public hearing. I will open public hearing. If there's any comment, I can review the terms of this if people aren't familiar. I know some people here are already in the audience, but probably just for the record, I should do this anyway. The offering price is $68,200. The deposit was made, and a further deposit of $1,000 deposit was made, $4,000 to follow up, the balance due at closing. All typical real estate contingencies. And then some special provisions, which are that the seller will verify the four corner pins of the subject lot, which we've agreed to do. The buyer is to pay the full New Hampshire real estate transfer tax and the cost of the deed preparation. They asked for a recorded right of first refusal on lot number 4. In the business park. We have deleted that from our counter offer. The buyer's offered purchase price includes a 6% commission payable to Coldwell Bank Lifestyle at the time of the transfer. So in other words, out of the proceeds that the town gets, we will pay 6% brokerage fee to the broker. The offer is subject to an appraisal conducted by and at the expense of the town of Lincoln with satisfactory results to the town. If the price is acceptable to the town and the buyer is duly notified, this contingency shall be satisfied. If the appraisal is not acceptable to the town, meaning the appraisal is in excess of the price offered in the agreement, the buyer will have the right of first refusal to accept the appraised value or terminate this agreement and receive a full refund of deposited funds. This is an unusual provision typically in a contract, but it's really allowing us to pay for an appraisal. And then if we find that the appraised value is higher than that, we can either ask for that in full or negotiate with the buyer. But then again, the buyer is in no obligation to go above the 68.3 that was offered. And then the offer is subject to satisfactory review and comment period by the planning board, and then blah, 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 and subject to 2 public hearings. In other words, abiding by the laws that we're going through. So we've already done the planning board. This is the first Board of Selectmen hearing. There'll be one more on the 20th. And that's all in the purchase and sales agreement that they know we're going through this. And then obviously if in these public hearings, the board finds a reason to turn this down, we will fully refund the money. So those are the provisions outside of the, I guess, the normal real estate things. So is there any public comment on this?
If I could just follow up on the appraisal.
Sure, sure.
We have engaged a company, Milne Allen, they're
Yep.
out of Sugar Hill.
Yep.
They're gonna do it next week. They haven't set a specific time, yet, but they said the week of the 11th through the 13th. And, that fall will be rolling, so.
Awesome. Jim?
Yeah, just got one question. Correct me if I'm wrong. The last time he wanted to go to the building, he stated that electricians can store stuff in there, plumbers can store stuff in there. That would be classified as personal self-storage, where you can let anybody put anything in there. Will that storage building be just for his material or everybody else's?
As I understand it, it's for the projects that he is personally involved in. So if O'Connell Builders is building something and there's an electrician on the job that is storing stuff in that building for the O'Connell Builders job,
Right.
I mean,
But that-
we're not in any position to go in and say, well, is that yours or is that Joe the electrician? As far as subletting out for just storage purposes, it's still says it's self-storage or that type of thing is not
Still prohibited.
still prohibited.
Like, you know, if you let everybody store their stuff in there, then why would that person want to buy a piece to store his stuff? Electrician buy a piece to store his stuff.
yeah.
Plumber buy a piece to store his stuff.
Yeah, that's not, I don't believe that's what the intention is.
No. Believe, unless I'm mistaken, last time that was mentioned,
There was no mention of that in the proposal that he gave us, Jim, for his.
not this time. right?
Yeah, last time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, what was it?
I was under the standing it was for the jobs that he has.
Yeah.
any other public comment, Paul?
Yeah, so it was great that you moved that mic up a little bit towards you guys, but you can't hear anybody else when they're talking. It's difficult. I don't know what's going on with it. It used to be a lot louder, but anyway. I think it's great that you changed the restrictions on the land there. I think it's great that you've had an offer. my question is, has it been put to a realtor with the recent changes? Has it been advertised with recent changes to see what the property may bring? I mean, I know that appraisals are based on subsequent sales and the property surrounding it, but in this day and age in Lincoln, New Hampshire, appraisals seem to fall well short of what actual property sells for. So I guess my question is, is the town of Lincoln really getting the best price for this property? Because, I mean, it doesn't seem like we're putting it out with the changes. And I think that the fact that you changed it and the right of first refusal, I agree with that. I think Mr. O'Connell will be a great person over there to have, but I also know that, there's seems to be in Lincoln currently a lot of people who will pay a lot more for land. Changing that and not advertising that it has been changed, as a taxpayer, I guess I would like to see if there's someone out there that would pay a little more than the appraised value. It seems that a lot of properties in Lincoln are going for higher than appraised value.
Paul, you and I know that the value of any property is what people will pay for it. I mean, the appraisal is a guideline that we utilize for the town, so that we know it's a fair market value at the current time. As far as the realtors go in advertising, I think word of mouth has spread. I know at least 2 realtors now have come before the board. Remax, Kevin McNamara, and Mr. Tremblay has come from Caldwell Banker. So we know that realtors are selling it out to their people that have possibly expressed an interest in it in the past. Whether they come forward and make an offer, that's time will tell. But I think that, the town can put it now on its website, indicating that a piece, has sold, and the new restrictions on it, so that it's out there if people want to come and take a look.
And to follow that up, I would be in favor of sending out a notice to all of the brokerage companies that are located in either Lincoln or Woodstock. With the appraisal imminent, I would tend to wait till after that and support the price with a legit appraisal. Sort of just set the bottom line expectation, for these realtors coming in, hopefully with potential offers, set a bottom line price. Again, it's gonna be made public once it's done, so it's not like we're revealing any secret information to these brokers. But if that's gonna happen next week, before Thanksgiving, I will personally make sure I'll draft a letter and get it sent out to all of the, again, local brokers, and have them aware of the new restrictions, or the revised restrictions that are on the land and the appraisal.
And Paul, part of the reason why we went with this appraisal company, the Milne Allen, is because they are licensed commercial real estate appraisers. They're not just a residential appraiser. We wanted someone who has some expertise in commercial properties. So that is, one of the major reasons why we selected this firm to move forward.
Yeah, and if I can speak to that further, I've worked with this company multiple times for business transactions that I've been involved with, including Whalestail Water Park and Alpine Adventures.
I mean, like I said, I do know that a lot of properties are going for way over what the appraised value is. However, I am a little conflicted because I think Carl Connell's a great guy. I think he's a local company. So there's no other right of first refusal. He's just buying just that one lot that's tied into this. There's no other lots that are tied into this.
Correct.
I mean, it's hard to turn down a local, whether it's Lincoln or Woodstock. Hard to turn down, I mean, someone that wants to keep their business going, but I still think that, the way that the properties are going in Lincoln, I mean, a property that was next to me had an offer of double what they sold it for, and I'm talking double. It's nuts what people are paying out there, and although I think the original intent of that property was to help local businesses. Obviously, it helps local everybody, the more we can get for the property, so that's my concern. And OJ, I think that'd be great if you could do that. I think that might help.
Yeah, and I appreciate your concern, but you have to remember, if we allowed housing to be built on those lots, the value of those lots would probably triple, not double.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I think that I'm surprised, I guess, that I mean, for example, Kevin McNamara came and said he had 2 or 3 people. I guess apparently I don't know where those are, but I'm surprised that there's not, considering the building trades that are in the area now and have been here for a while, that they would not want to put up some sort of a small, place, so that they could continue to build and build these houses for some time, and just, they wouldn't have to travel or help back. I mean, all their tools and, supplies and stuff could be stored in one place. That's where I think that probably comes in pretty handy to have that, but as long as we're just talking about one lot, I'm on board.
Okay. Is there any other public input? All right, there being none, I'll close the public hearing, or actually, I'll
Let's make a
postpone.
motion. Postpone the public.
Postpone it, continue it
Continue it till the
to
20th.
November 20th. All right, that's a motion.
Yes.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. All right. Next is tax collector appointment.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, there's some slight confusion whether we needed to sign something or not. We just need a formal vote. And then we'll have her get sworn in and do the oath in-house. So we just need a vote or a motion to approve Christine as our new tax collector effective immediately.
I'll make that motion.
What's Chrissy's last name?
Slepser.
Thank you. I know it used to be.
Sorry. K-E-L-P-S-E-R.
KLE.
K-L-E.
P.
I'm dyslexic.
You made that motion. I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those abstaining?
I will abstain,
Okay.
as she is my daughter, so.
Next on the agenda is the fire department structural evaluation. I'm gonna request that we hold off on this briefly and move on to the town manager's report, if that's okay. I talked to Ron today and he has a meeting at work, but expected, oh,
He's on.
He's here.
oh, geez.
Okay, never mind.
And mine.
Well, that's a whole different story now. isn't it? Ron, I'm sorry, I didn't see you come on.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out. So with that being said, why don't we go on to the next thing, which is the fire department structural evaluation? Do you guys wanna, I know we have stuff in writing, but do you wanna come up and present that to? And why don't you
Yeah,
come
come on up.
sit over here?
Closer to the microphone.
Speak loudly.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you have in front of you, a couple of months ago, Karina reached out or tasked us with, kind of doing a little research on the building itself, fire department building. And this is what you have in front of you. This is your packet. The first portion is a letter that I had written up. And it kind of just falls in line with what the fire department feels is our deficiencies in the building. Believe the building was built in 1990. I have building plans that I've seen from 1986, but I don't think it got built in 86. I wasn't even born, so I'm not sure, but I'm assuming 1990. I'm gonna get it. So I don't know if you'd like me to read, just.
Go right through it, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go through it.
So, just a quick overview, it basically, starts off with our space and storage. That's kind of our biggest, problem that we have now within the fire department. We just have the bays, we have equipment all around the outside of the bays. In between, oftentimes we have to put equipment in just because we don't have any storage. Our meeting space works for us, small. But as of right now, we're using men's bathroom mostly as storage. Which is a bit of a problem.
Amanda.
Yeah. So there's that. The next kind of deficiency that we found was the air quality. Our trucks are right there, right next to our room. So Mike actually did some research. You can go over that in a minute. Climate Vent has a system where they can hook in right to the exhaust and exhaust the fumes right out of the building. So that way our diesel trucks are not blowing right onto our here. That would be the second one. And the third one is the bathroom upgrades. I know in the past it had been talked about to do bathroom upgrades. What I would like to see is new bathroom stalls and some like lockers for the guys. As of right now, they store their personal equipment in their cubbies, which is right next to the front here, which is cross contamination. So I'd like to see some kind of space where they can have their own equipment, you know.
Is there the space to do that over there? Not within the existing bathroom. So is there space to, can you take up space in another part of the building to create that, or do you need a new
That'd be
space
something.
to?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Like I couldn't.
Okay.
That's pretty much it as far as the letter. Moving on, we have the Duan King for the structural analysis. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read through that. Okay, so I guess the biggest deficiencies with that was the roof truss system, which was found, I believe, in a 2013 report. Ron, if that's correct, Chief.
Yes, Hoyle and Tanner report.
Right. So we had Duan King come out and kind of do a structural analysis, and they found the same thing was wrong with the roof truss. It's a lateral bracing across the entire roof truss system itself. So in a high wind, you can actually feel the building moving.
Wasn't that, some of that was done, and Ron can correct me if I'm wrong, when the cracks in the floor were addressed, wasn't some of the roof trusses addressed at the same time?
Yeah, it was, but I don't believe it was done to the engineer's requirements.
Not sufficient.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, I followed up with Duan King, and they're gonna come back and they're gonna do a full engineering analysis of the truss system. Create a plan for us, an engineered plan, and then at that point, we can hire a contractor to come and fix the problem once a problem.
Do you have a timeline on that?
So they're kind of shorthanded, as everybody is. He's thinking the winter time and hoping to have it to us by spring.
Which would be too late for anything at this town meeting.
Yes, however,
However, so we have the 40 grand from the county's ARPA funds that we had requested for the fire department to do the structural analysis and whatnot. So that's what we are spending the money on for this report. That's how we're going to pay for the additional analysis of the truss system when they come back. And then at the last CIP meeting, the CIP committee was trying to match what we put in for funds last year. And we identified certain line items that we thought would be appropriate to put additional funds into, and we put additional money into the fire department infrastructure line. So we went from
25 to 50.
$25,000 to $50,000 for
Roughly
2024.
24,600 in there at the end of this year, so you'll have 75,000.
We'll have about 75,000. So
Next
depending
year.
on, you know, the extent of the, you know, renovations or the work that needs to be done to the truss system, we have, you know, a nice, small, you know.
That will
Thank
obviously be the first thing money
Absolutely.
spent on.
And I do believe that the remaining ARPA funds, like, I mean, this analysis was relatively cheap, and I imagine that the
next
one, the
one,
follow-up will
yeah.
be as well. I imagine we'll spend maybe at max 10 grand out of the whole 40 grand that we were allotted. And the county has said that as long as it's a lost revenue category for the ARPA funds, we can use it as the ARPA funds. Right, so we could use those excess funds to help,
Gotta give us about 100,000.
about 100,000,
Yeah,
you got it.
So could we use the remaining 30, say, to go towards the plumb event system? That's, what was that, 35?
30,
I-
just over 30.
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, because that's gonna be another number
Whole
one.
Whole line,
Yeah.
item, you got it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
We have two number ones, the trust system and the plumb event system.
yeah, the county has, essentially, I think, the county got $17 million worth of
Sure.
ARPA funds and they needed to disperse
Yeah,
it.
right.
And they said, as long as it fits the ARPA criteria for lost revenue, which pretty much anything does.
Right,
That we can use it as we see fit. We just have to notify them that we are, we've done this part of it, now we're moving with this part and,
Excellent.
supply invoices and all that kind of good stuff. So,
So we'll know then after the analysis is done from the roof truss system, basically what a cost will be for each one of these items. So we'll know that we've got the $100,000+ to, start, like you said, the air filtration system, make that a priority. And then the trusses would be. and
yeah,
then the
we'll have an
bathrooms.
engineer's estimate.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
An engineer.
We have the full quote for the air system already.
Right.
35,000.
Yes. Yes, 35 and 35 4.
Yep.
The only thing that did not include is the electrical work for it, which isn't much, but,
What's the lead on that? Like, if you sign a contract tomorrow, can they do it the next day, or is it, we're talking next year?
they said it would be relatively quick, they
Okay.
can get it in
Okay,
there.
good.
Another thing that brings up is just with this is. One, the air quality in the building, and with those exhaust fumes going on the gear, it's hurting the gear, one.
Mhm.
And you cannot get grants for gear unless you have a clean air system in your station.
Mhm.
So we could never apply for grants to get new gear. Because we don't
Oh,
have,
this is in.
we don't have clean air in our station or a clean gear room. So it snowballs into one thing into another.
In doing the truss upgrade, is that gonna interfere, like, is gonna be any ductwork, venting or whatever up in the truss system for the fire vent?
I would have to double check with them and see where they would put it. I know he did full drawings, so I'd have to get that from him on where they would put all that stuff.
And the reason I ask is this, it seems to me like the first priority should be to fix the structure before we put $35,000 of
Absolutely.
what's
Well,
really an
venting,
HVAC system
yeah,
within
absolutely.
a broken structure. So
Right,
if,
right.
if we say, okay, number one, let's get the trust thing going, which it sounds like we have funding to.
We can start that
Start that.
as soon as they have the plan.
Once we have the engineered plans, we can hopefully get a contractor on board and.
Right, are you saying that those engineered plans won't be in until springtime?
Yeah, they're hoping to do the evaluation over the
Over the
winter.
winter.
Right,
All right,
Gotcha.
so I mean, it's,
we're talking spring, summer next year. Before we
Okay.
get a contractor. in
so
house.
if we target that to be done in the spring. Then maybe next summer would be the installation of
Plum event.
the venting system. Right. Is that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
seem- And again,
That's-
between the capital reserve funds. And the ARPA funds,
Mhm.
that's.
We
that
hope we would have
should-
enough.
Should be covered for that.
very close.
And then
And-
I would like to see at that point, some kind of a plan, not, don't spend $1 million on architecture. Or whatever, but plan on addition, cause you're gonna need the addition to expand your bathrooms and storage. Locker
Storage.
rooms and, accommodate some storage. And how
How do we move
that
forward
works.
to-
then we'll know how to fund it.
Absolutely.
But I'm not. I totally agree that this all needs to be done, absolutely. And we have the money, if I had the money in my pocket, I'd do it today, however. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think these, step one and step two, to me, are kind
No
of
question.
easy decisions, it's step three is, do we do something as basic as getting a storage container and throwing it somewhere on that piece of property.
I actually,
Yeah, and I know,
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I wonder why you did,
That's
because
not
that
gonna
might
fix the
be,
massive market problem.
no,
just
but it might
storage.
be a temporary step,
Well,
as we wait for, and again, like, is it possible to add on to the side of the building coming towards the lower parking lot? And again, it says it needs to be structurally independent, which it could be.
okay, yeah,
It's just, I don't know how close you could get that building to the existing building without digging too far and ruining the foundation of that building. We don't wanna break one of the, so I don't mean, I don't know, an engineer's gonna have to look at that now.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Is there any possibility of adding on out back without interfering to access into the library?
that road abuts right to the back of the.
Yeah.
It's right there. Is there
it's only
any,
one car wide, so
yeah, but is there any land behind that to move the one?
not
car
that
wide?
we own.
Not that we, yeah, well, all right.
And I will say this, at we had a department head meeting on Friday and the library is pushing for an addition. And, I don't know how those two coincide with each other.
The library's
and-
actually on the fire department.
Correct,
Correct,
yes.
part of it.
Right,
If they're gonna addition, they're gonna have to go the other way towards the historical society.
right.
So
And
tell
again,
us
I don't,
other options.
I don't know the history, so all I
Right, right.
know is what I was told, but I know that that is going to be proposed sooner rather than later, so.
Well, they've been talking about that for years,
Mhm.
yeah. And I can't say it's not needed because I've been in there, it's tight and a ton of people use the library.
Oh, I know,
Right.
that's. mean,
Like I
it's
said,
a good facility.
We want to make sure that whatever we're doing works for,
Right. And you had also mentioned one point, OJ, like Woodstock has the lower Woodstock Fire Station. We have space in front of the old salt shed. I mean, right now, the snowmobile club uses it for trailers, to park their trailers and stuff, but I mean, there's room around the salt shed that could accommodate the trailers, and I don't think we could take the salt shed down. It's literally the oldest building in Lincoln. So, which shouldn't, in my opinion, come down. It should be preserved. And thank you, keep your mouth shut on that one. However, there could be, a smaller building that would just hold a truck or two, or the, trailer and ATV or the forest equipment or whatever might be a solution as well. So, something to keep in mind.
Look, I mean, I think that if we can't build out towards the lower parking lot,
Right.
or even if we can, but it wouldn't be big enough, which would be my concern. Is what if you do build an auxiliary building, whether it's at the state shed land, whether it's next to the new police department? It doesn't matter, but could you build a 2 or 3 bay auxiliary building, which would then free up space for storage, offices, locker rooms in the current building?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the engineer talks, a lot of the stuff on here is monitor this, monitor that, you know, watch it. But it says basically that building's in good structural shape except for those truss things. And if we're gonna fix that, we're gonna have a good building. That should certainly last for several more decades. So I don't see getting rid of that and going to a whole new facility. But I also know that you can't just keep squishing more and more into that building, so.
right, and trucks are only gonna get bigger and bigger.
Right.
Right, we're not gonna be reducing the fleet either.
And the town's not getting any smaller.
No.
We've noticed that.
Right. So, you know, like Tim said, if you built a second building, wherever it is, that would house, you know, 1 vehicle, 2 vehicles, plus then some of the equipment, maybe the ATVs, trailer,
Forestry, whatever.
yeah. That's gonna need some planning, but I mean, that seems like it would be the route to go.
Right, and that's kind of why I think the addition would probably have to be a bay and then the bathrooms, locker rooms behind it, so I know we had talked about a UTV, we wanna have a UTV with a trailer and a truck, and like I said, an auxiliary building for that would be perfect.
It's just, if we did that addition up here,
Mhm.
you would not be parking another truck in there, so all of your truck space would still be tied up. So again, all of that storage around that you're talking about,
It's still.
you wouldn't free up a bay. Now, could you move some of that stuff into the new addition? Yes, but there would be no room for a truck in there, as opposed to building
A new building.
a larger,
Substation.
you know, and obviously, I think building it, if you take a raw flat piece of land, like next to the PD or in front of the salt shed, it's gonna be easier to build a new building on a flat surface than it is to try to dig up as close as you can to the existing building without tipping it over,
Yeah,
reinforce it, and then building one that might only be 10 feet wide.
Right.
I don't know how much room you have there between that and the parking lot. And then, of course, all the snow load, instead of dumping between the parking lot,
Going into the road.
and it's gonna go into
going to the parking lot, right,
which is gonna create an ongoing,
doable, but just.
Doable.
Yeah.
again, there's,
Not
there's
ideal.
pros
Right.
and cons
Not
to each, you know,
Yeah.
solution, but I'd like to see, you know, what would that step 3 be? Is it an addition onto this building? Is it a new building somewhere else that just houses equipment? Is it a new building somewhere else that houses 1 or 2 of the fleet vehicles plus some equipment, freeing up space in here for, office lockers, that kind of stuff?
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think we got a step 1 and a step 2. It's just gonna be that step 3 that
Step
needs a
3.
little bit more
Yeah.
logistical planning and.
And maybe we can put that on your team to come up with that, by
Yeah.
next summer,
Absolutely.
and get this into next summer's CIP
Yeah.
discussion
Yeah.
and then the next year's budget.
I think we all agree that there's a need, we see it, we understand it, and we're with you. Just getting there is the next step.
The things we can look at too, is we talked about impact fees. With what's going on as far as construction. It has an impact on the fire, and the need for additional equipment in particular. Space, so that it's not put solely on the burden of the taxpayer. That's
Yeah.
something we should. Definitely.
Go ahead, Al.
What about the center bay? Do they move the old fire truck someplace in storage and open up that center bay for ATV or pickup, be put in the center bay?
You mean where they're,
We still need to put our gears.
your gears, yeah,
Here, and then that bay would probably barely fit a truck.
There's no access to that bay, right? There's,
No, you'd have to.
You'd have to-
access with them,
pull in,
That's where the supports are for the building.
right,
that as
right.
well.
yeah, even if you took that out of there, you still have to build something to put your gear in.
OJ?
Yep, Paul?
Yeah, when that building was built. And I was right, that center bay was built for historical things. And that's why the old La France was put in there and made into that office. But that could come out and it could, do as Al said, be used for some sort of storage. And when we built that building, and I was on that building committee, they kept that parking area that was just down below there, between there and a town building. That was supposed to be, any additional space in the future was supposed to go that way. Just so you know how it was planned out way back when. Is it enough? Who knows? I just find it kind of piecemeal that to me, and I know I really don't want to say this, but I mean, when you take a look at the public services building, we had a fire department in there that was going to meet everything. And now we're piecemealing things. As a taxpayer, I would think that there would be some sort of a needs assessment done that says, this is what we need, this is what we have, and how are we going to make the two, come together. If you can't do it with what's there, I crawled around upstairs there and looked at the report. Frick Gagne was the one that did the roof truss supports that were up there. and it was done by an engineering company, if I'm right. I think it, I have the copy of the engineering report, but anyway, it was done according to what they said. And it looks pretty hokey up there. It was just some 2x whatever put up there that was supporting where the weak spots were. But I think to me, if you're looking at the library and you're looking at the fire department needs, maybe you can resolve both by moving the fire department somewhere else permanently. I didn't like my tax bill that I just got, went up $450, but it's to keep adding Band-Aids onto a system really doesn't make a lot of sense either. So to me, I would think a needs assessment and as far as space goes would be really relevant and help. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I don't disagree, but I just question whether a brand new building will get funded by the budget committee and the town vote. We certainly had some pushback, and we know what the price was. We did the whole, combined building. And we also know that there was, maybe some, I don't say unneeded space, but that wasn't a skin and bones budget either. But still, to build a building that completely replaces a building that an engineer just said is in good condition, I'm not sure if that's the thrifty thing to do. So.
And I agree, OJ. I just think that, I was hearing two things tonight. I was hearing that there's deficiencies or areas where the fire department needs some more space in order to have adequate storage and adequate vehicle storage. And then you mentioned, or someone mentioned, I think Karina mentioned something about the library. So it's not just that you're looking now at just the fire department. If you were just looking at the fire department, maybe you could do what you're talking about. But if you're looking at the fire department and the library, now may be the time to take a look at the whole plan instead of spending piecemeal hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe, or $1 million here, $1 million there, whatever the cost is. Maybe you take a look at the whole game plan and put something together, because the location of the fire department besides the library lends it to think that maybe that could be used for the library, and maybe that could resolve their issues in the future. And maybe the fire department needs to do what it has to do and go somewhere else, whether it's two buildings, one building. But the wise use of taxpayer money is to take a look at the future and say, this is what we think we need, in my book. Thank you.
Thank you. Al?
I mean, there's a lot of NFPA standards that these guys don't meet, and it's not their fault. And I mean, it's gonna take one person, we just signed a cancer bill, but we're putting diesel fuel in their lungs every time those trucks start up. And when they come back with their gear, it's contaminated, they have no way of decontaminating the stuff properly. So there's a lot of, compared to new standards and everything, and even the primal system, I mean, that should be a priority right from the beginning. I mean, these are the things that, one of these firefighters come down with cancer or something, they can look back at the firehouse and say, nothing was ever done. I mean, these are some of the things that I think we need to look at. I think it was a big accomplishment for this town to have, get the police station up and rolling. And we should look in the near future here for the next 5 years and say our next goal is to get a firehouse here and get a firehouse that's up to standards for these, not for the citizens, but for the firefighters who have to work there. And I think, we're gonna put $1 million here or there. Maybe it's our best bet to hold off and put $1 million into a new firehouse. I mean, Bristol is building a firehouse, and you can talk to Ben LaRoche, $5.2 million for a fire and police and safety complex. And they did it. And it's a good sized station. It's like a 6-bay station. It's being constructed right now, so it can be done. I think it's just how we approach it, and we do have time to go look for grants. I mean, this is something we can do down the road here for the next 2 or 3 years, have a pre-plan here. I mean, once this police station is done, we should start looking forward, get the committee going, look for a fire station. Look for something, how do we improve it? We need to rebuild it there, or on the police site, or maybe another site in town. That's something, and the impact fees, we talked about that years ago. I think there was before Riverwalk was built, I think there was an offer at a table to pay for a ladder truck. That was never followed. So we have the impact fees, let the impact fees put towards, a fire station in 5-10 years from now.
Yeah, and those impact fees are a good way to help fund things that become new needs for the town because of what someone built. It has to be justified by the use of whatever new piece of equipment you buy by the developer. It can't just be we want a new fire station, you need to help us build it. So I'm not saying we can't do that. I'm saying that there are rules related to that are much more narrow than, Riverwalk needs to, or some developer needs to pay such and such for the town. Well, what is the need and the percentage of the need, based on that single developer's, increase in demand? So that's not a bad idea. It's just it's much more narrow than sometimes it appears in these discussions.
And we also would need the planning board on board
For that.
with that. 'Cause
Correct.
That's who imposes those fees,
Yeah.
is the planning board.
I mean, I'm certainly not opposed to building a new firehouse. I guess number one, look at an engineer's report and say that building is in good shape. That building can be retrofitted with a exhaust system. But that building isn't big enough and there really isn't room on that site to do any meaningful expansion. So then it really becomes a decision of the town. Do we want a single new facility? Or do we want, again, as Woodstock has, a secondary facility? And again, maybe the secondary facility gets built with the vision that maybe at some year down the road, it gets expanded, into, maybe that becomes the place if we ever get to the point where there's, full-time force and there needs to be sleeping arrangements and, shower rooms versus just, a single-use bathroom, that becomes a new facility for that at some point. I think all of that needs to be looked into,
Well, Jay,
Yep.
I think it's time. I think it's time that Lincoln and Woodstock Board of Selectmen get together. This is something that both towns need. And both towns are growing. Lincoln's obviously growing more than Woodstock. But as a taxpayer, I find it extremely baffling that we can't get together, support each other financially and emergency services, but we can in ambulance and things like that. It behooves me to just wonder why we can't do that. I mean, and both put our resources together and make this thing happen. So, and it could happen. It could happen if we could get together and do it. I just don't know. I mean, there's got to be a way to do this and make it work. If we can just get the personalities out of the way and look towards the benefit of both communities, can you imagine what we could do? I mean, it just seems frivolous that we sit here and try and so Lincoln keeps apportioning a certain amount of money to do certain things that Woodstock does anyway. And I don't know, isn't there a way we can make this work? I mean, there's got to be. We do so many things together. Did I lose you?
No.
Okay.
Actually,
Oh, you know it more so probably than most people in this room, that, those conversations have been going on for years
Yeah.
about being, public service forces, i.e. police and fire, And if you could do it, I'd call you the miracle worker. But you know, it's sometimes people want in their own community to control their own destiny. They don't want to share. In some instances, you know, that somebody else is making a decision for my community. And I'm not saying that's wrong, I'm not saying that's right. We do, like you say, coexist on and fund different projects here jointly that works out very, very well. Beyond that, you know, as far as public service goes, you know, we've had those conversations. And, you know, I think it's pie in the sky at this point in time, Paul. I know there's been recent discussions about that within the past.
Well,
So,
well, Jack, I don't know. I mean, you know, like I said, my taxes went up $450 this year. Is that a lot? No, it's not.
that's all.
That's, I'm sure yours went up more because you live higher on a hog than I do.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
no, I should say higher on a mountain. But no, seriously, I mean, Woodstock's being affected by the same thing. And, you know, there's gotta be a way that the three of you and the three of the Woodstock Board of Selectmen can really kind of just say, can't we get this done? We do so much else together. It just seems unfathomable that we can't do that when we live so close. I mean, the cost, especially the cost of things these days, you know, they cost so much. If we could share the cost like we do with other things, it would solve a lot of the problems. You just got to keep trying, I think. We just can't take no for an answer. We just got to keep trying.
Well, when I first started teaching in New Hampshire, many, many years ago, we were a combined school system of 5 different communities. We had one superintendent. Those, over the past 40 years since I've given up teaching, have now morphed into 4 different school systems with their own individual superintendents. So it has not been where it's been emerging, even though the resources would say you can save money that way, but they want individual identity. They want their own system. I mean, it was Amherst, Milford, Hollis, Brookline, and one other. And now there's Sauhegan, which never existed. Hollis has its own, you know, so Brookline, you know, it's something we'd all love to see, but it's, in many cases, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, but Jack,
Also, Paul,
back when you were there, Jack, they were probably drawing the fire department things with horses, and now they're not. Now we got motors. I'm sorry, OJ, go ahead.
Be kind to the elderly.
when I beat my head for the same cause 10 years ago, one of the things that opened my eyes, and I'm always trying to learn and open to new ideas, was a discussion I had where they went through and said, okay, this is what Woodstock has for equipment at that time, and I'm sure it's changed. This is what Lincoln has for equipment at that time. And then went through and said, okay, if we combined, it became one source. Well, we can't get rid of this one, we can't get rid of this, and we still need that, or we still need that. And it's for the big ticket items, there was no real savings, because right now, mutual aid, when there's a big fire in Lincoln, Woodstock comes over and vice versa. And if you took any one of those big fires and said, okay, well, we're gonna get rid of it, you know, a pumper or a ladder or that wouldn't have happened. So for the big ticket items, there was zero savings. Now, for some of the smaller things, could, you know, do we need, you know, 2 6-foot step ladders? No, we only need 1. Okay, so that saves us $80, but that's not, there was no big savings. You know, payroll, we need every firefighter in the 2 towns. We need more than we have. And again, this was 10 years ago, but it opened my eyes to say, okay, we're gonna beat our heads and fight and you know, bother a lot of people who don't want to combine it to save how much money. Now, if someone wants to go through that exercise again that I went through 10 years ago, it'd be interesting to see what the savings would be. What pieces of equipment could we get rid of that either of the towns that's redundant and not needed for backup? You know, I'm open to listening again, But that's kind of what changed me from beating my head against the wall to, we have to combine to, well, how much will we save? And then, of course, starts the whole big fight, just like at the school. How much does Lincoln pay and how much does Woodstock pay? Because Woodstock has more houses, more people, more full-time residents, but Lincoln has more of a tax base. So how do we split that bill? And it's gonna be the same fight, no matter how we do it. It's gonna be just like the school. One town will be happy and one town won't.
OJ, I couldn't agree with you more. We have been, and I think you said it best. We've been talking about this for a lot longer than you've been alive and I've been alive, and hasn't been successful, but we haven't given up. And I haven't given up anyway. And I gotta tell you, I think if we're not forward thinking about this, I think it's gonna swallow us up. The days of volunteerism are weaning away ever so quickly, I think. And, you know, eventually both departments are gonna probably end up in some sort of a full-time paid position fire department. And, you know, to me, it's ludicrous that we can't get together and say, look, why can't we do something like that and protect both towns? And, you know, the only thing that I can see in the way of it is, let's just keep trying, and maybe someday it will work. But if we give up on it, then it's never going to work. You know, so to me, I mean, we all know, look at volunteerism. It's just take a look at that. It's going away. People don't have the time. So why don't we just keep trying? That's all. I'm not saying it's going to work every time, but keep trying. And I think one day when we finally get along and can figure it out, we'll be the same as the solid waste facility, and we'll be the same as the school and the churches and all the rest of the stuff that we do. But we just gotta keep trying, because if we just put it off and say, no, that's never gonna work, we're never gonna get anywhere. Never. And I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're listening, you know, and that you have continued to try, but I just think that we got to continue to keep doing that. That's all.
Got it. All right, I think we have our step one, step two, to focus on. And then let's look at the alternatives of, a second building, changing where storage and offices go in this building, and maybe have a plan by next summer.
So, yeah, we'll get going on those items and keep you up to date.
That sound good, Ron?
Yes, sir, it does.
All right,
And I think as soon as you have, back from Dubois and King, the structural necessities need to go on upstairs. If that comes in sooner rather than later, there's money in the CIP, get it done. Just get it done.
right. CIP or the ARPA funds.
Or the ARPA funds.
Let's use
I
the
think
ARPA
the
funds.
same,
Yeah, let's put ARPA first, right?
Yeah.
I think the same with Prime Event, once that is complete, you know, then get Prime Event right in after. We've got that as well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, the
The
funds are
rest of
there, we
it
have
will
to go,
address.
we're in favor of doing it.
Yeah.
Again, I just don't wanna do it
Yeah, I
before we
get
do
you.
the
Yeah.
trust and have.
No,
damage
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
Get the structural stuff. out of the
Exactly.
way. Yeah.
So as soon as Dubois and King come back with that plan, get it done. Then Prime Event and the rest of it we'll get to as soon as we can.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for
Mike.
coming in.
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Back to the agenda.
All right, next on the agenda. On the agenda is the Loon Mountain Rec Corp Town of Lincoln Shared Use Agreement for the South Peak Water Tank. We have some input from our
Town council.
town council, and we're gonna review his comments in non-public. So we're gonna skip over that for now.
Question,
Yeah.
after non-public, are we going to come back into public session and discuss it, vote on it, or are we gonna wait for 2 weeks?
I don't think there's any vote that needs to happen this evening, so
Okay.
just a kind of a recap, what has happened from the last discussions we've had with the Forest Service and Loon till now. The Forest Service has agreed that this shared use agreement is not going to be a requirement of the permit. Originally,
Okay.
they were saying this was
Okay.
gonna be a requirement that
Right,
needed to
right.
be built into the permitting.
Yeah.
They're now saying this is a recommendation.
Yeah.
And due to the time constraints that we're in with the water tank,
Mhm.
they're allowing us to work it out amongst ourselves with Loon outside of the permit.
Good.
So Loon has put some proposed language together to be added into the permit that essentially says we are going to do this shared use agreement outside of the permitting process. And they've also added some language just about, use of the utility roads and kind of just some basic language that Loon and the town will work together collaboratively in the future, and that our master plans will be essentially reviewed in conjunction with each other when it comes to the South Peak water tank. So the Forest Service has agreed to permit and allow us to move forward with the permitting, which we should have, I would hope by the end of this week,
Fantastic.
outside of the shared use agreement. So there's really no immediate need to have this shared use agreement signed and voted on.
So this will
evening.
probably be on the next selectmen's.
I would say
agenda
this will be on the next selectmen's agendas as well, because then we're gonna have to send our revised comments to town council and also to Loon for their review, and then some sort of collaborative process to come to an
Fantastic.
agreement we both sign.
Okay, thanks.
Collaborative process will take place and be consummated before the next meeting?
No, I think that our revisions to the agreement will be sent to Loon by then. I think we will be able to come to a agreement on what we want revised in that shared use agreement.
Mhm.
And then sent to Loon. I don't know if we'll have it signed, sealed and delivered yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
Okay,
So I don't want to make this an agenda item for the next meeting.
unless it
Unless we
it
have.
can be.
When it's ready, let's put it
Sure.
on the agenda, and if it is ready, great, but I just don't think it will be.
I'm hopeful.
I mean, I don't see any, I honestly haven't got past page 2.
No,
because I just
there's
got it
not,
today.
there's not, I don't think there's anything that's detrimental to the project, but I think there are provisions within the agreement that need to be tweaked a little.
Oh,
to-
absolutely.
There was
Like on
no-
page 1, it's like, there's no way I would sign that, but.
And I think Loon knows, Loon does know, I told Brian Norton that revisions are coming in town, so,
And I mean, that's with any contract, that's gonna happen, but
agree. So,
awesome, okay,
For the moment.
thank you, I just wanted to know.
OJ,
it's not contingent on the permitting.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
All
Thank you.
question?
yeah, OJ, could I ask? I'm a little confused there. Why is Loon involved in the water tank? I thought it was between the town and South Peak.
Because the
go ahead.
land that the tank is on is Forest Service owned land under a special use permit held by Loon Mountain Rec Corp. So we have to have, in other words, they have a use agreement with the Forest Service. Now we need a shared use agreement that says for this little square of land, it's a shared use between Loon and the town of Lincoln.
But it has nothing to do with the actual water tank and the who's using it or anything like that, right?
Correct.
It's the land.
It's
Okay.
the land that it's on.
I was just a little confused. Thank you for clearing that up.
Yep, no, that was a good question, actually.
Yeah, it was.
We all know what we're talking about.
Right.
Okay,
All right, so town managers report. We have here.
Yes, so enclosed in your packets is a copy of the new proposed hours for the Kank ski area for the 2023-2024 season. The changes are a direct result of the input we received at the public input meetings that we held last month. We also hope to incorporate some additional changes within the building, such as a new storage facility for the candy and the candy counter. We're gonna put some cubbies on a
it takes up
wall.
less space
So
than.
it takes up,
Yes.
it's, yeah, less
okay.
intrusive to the floor space. It's
Yeah.
gonna be on the wall. Also some upgraded storage cabinets for,
Larger cubbies.
larger cubbies,
Accommodate
exactly. Yeah.
helmets and boots and things, yeah.
So we, we took the public's input seriously from those two meetings. I thought those two meetings were great. I think it was a really collaborative session, amongst Woodstock and Lincoln, and the stakeholders at the Kank. We've added an hour on Saturdays. That was a big deal that we were closing at 3. We added Saturdays to 4.
We used to closed weekends at 4, and then during COVID, it dropped down to 3 o'clock because there was no inside the building. So we've gone back to 4 o'clock on Saturdays, not on Sundays,
Not on Sundays, correct.
because we have Friday nights. For the Kank, it used to be LRT and LRT Sunday night, so.
We're also going to, on Fridays in the afternoons after the children's winter program, we're gonna open up early so we can,
Yeah, the
starting in
elementary
February.
school, every
Yeah.
Friday, the elementary school goes to Loon to ski
Yeah,
and gets done at 4:30, whatever it is. So for that, I think it's only the month of January, unless there's a makeup day.
correct, yeah.
So for that month, we won't do Friday afternoons because they'll be at Loon until 4 o'clock. So after that, we'll open 3 to 5 after school on Fridays.
okay, so when it says here Fridays from 3 to 5 starting in February, and then it says after Linwood winter activities.
Yeah.
That
That's the-
refers to February, not 3 o'clock. The February is after the Linwood
You got it.
activities
Yes.
are over in February. Okay, I misread that.
Fridays from 3 to 5, starting in February,
Okay.
yeah.
all right,
after the, yeah.
Okay.
We've never done Friday because of winter activities, but winter activities also used to be, there was
2 months
12,
long. right?
Yeah, actually, it was 10, it was 2.5 months. And now it's just a month, so,
Okay,
you know. Okay,
And then also from those meetings was the use of the upstairs. We're gonna
Yeah.
open the upstairs again on Saturdays. So like I said, I think this is a step in the right direction. There's obviously more discussion and more work to happen in the future, but we think this is a good first step in acknowledging the concerns that people had and listening to the, to the users at the Kank, and also what's cohesive with us, operating in there, so.
I'd also like to add too, that, there was a lot of discussion about renovating the building. It needs a renovation regardless. So we've asked Stuart Anderson, to come up with some kind of a design, to address some of the suggestions and wants and needs and such that came out of those meetings as well. So that is also
Working.
moving.
Yeah.
Just, of course, that doesn't happen overnight, so.
that's good. That
I think it's
Yeah.
a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, and if I could add something, the CIP committee,
Yes.
increase the amount of money that was available to the Kank Rec by another $60,000.
That is true.
That is true, yeah, so
That's awesome.
it was great. It was like this last CIP meeting, I think, was really productive and a really good step forward in
Yeah.
helping us, address some of our infrastructure needs.
Awesome, right. Yeah, thank you for that, Paul, I'd forgotten that.
Okay.
All right.
Also in your packets is the my proposed 2024 meeting schedule. So this year, it's actually, the holidays have worked out great for us. We don't have very many Tuesday meetings. I was wondering if the board would consider meeting early, similar to what we did last year, because Monday the 1st is a holiday, to meet Tuesday the 2nd prior to the budget committee's meeting. That's what we did last year. So I think we met at 4 or
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
something, so we could have a regularly scheduled meeting that week and have it prior to the budget committee's meeting that starts at 5:30. And then on the 17th is the joint Lincoln Woodstock Budget Committee meeting, and we were thinking similar to what we did last year again.
Meeting, yeah.
We'll do the joint BOS meeting that afternoon. I've already reached out to Judy and put that bug in her ear as well. But I told her that we would be meeting this evening and discussing it, to have our joint meeting, the joint BOS meeting directly before the joint budget committee meeting.
Yeah, no, that works out
And then
for that.
again, bi-weekly schedule, and the way the holidays fall this year, we actually don't have to have any other additional Tuesday meetings because we don't land on a holiday
Right.
now. So
When, do you have an idea when we'll have the budget?
I'm saying by the end of this month at the latest. I've met with all the department heads except for Nate so far, so we're pretty, we're moving. I could at least get you the majority of them, I would say, within the next few weeks, so.
Okay. Go ahead,
Can I request, whatever you have ready before Thanksgiving,
Send it off,
please.
send it out? Sure. I mean, I just would have time over that period to
review.
review.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and if there's, a couple that are missing,
Yeah, like I said, I've met with all the department heads except for Nate so far, so
Okay.
I have everyone except for, well, Nate has a few under his belt. But PD, rec, library, you know, all the ones that are in-house, town hall, all those
Okay.
type of things.
Now,
Yeah.
normally we meet an hour early or something.
On budget season.
Yeah.
But yeah, once we get the budget.
Yeah.
I know, I will be remote. The next two meetings we have, I'll have to zoom in. But I am not opposed to zooming in early if we don't have anything the next one, but on the December 4th.
Yeah, you wanna start that at maybe 4 or 4, what do you think? I
Either
don't
one
remember
works
what we
for
did
me.
last year.
It's up to you, 4 or 4:30, either way.
Yeah,
I think we should do 4.
let's do 4.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
feel like last year when we only had an hour, it was tight.
Right.
Yeah, let's do 4.
Okay, so we'll do 4.
Okay. 12:04 at 4, and then 12:18 at 4?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, that works for me. Oh, no, that doesn't not work for me. I may not even be here for that meeting. Depending on,
What life looks like.
yeah, yeah, so I don't know. That
You're talking about
meeting's
the
up in-
18th, right?
Yeah, I may or may not be here, so do what you need to do, and if I have any.
Let's see how
comments,
far we
questions-
get on the 4th,
Okay,
and on the 4th, we'll make a decision on what time we're gonna meet on the 18th.
okay.
All right, or if we need to
I mean,
schedule
we
an
can-
off cycle.
Or,
We
or,
could meet on the 11th too, if we had to, if we thought.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
necessary.
You can meet any day that
Right.
week if we
Right.
wanted to. Right.
4 on the 4th.
Yeah, we could do any day, just do a budget work session, and it could be.
It could be
noon time,
whenever,
it doesn't
right.
matter.
Yeah, all right, let's
So,
Let's start with
4
the
o'clock on
4th.
4th, and
Yeah.
we'll decide.
I'll be zooming in, but
That's
yeah,
fine.
that works.
I will say so far, there's nothing radical in the budgets.
Kidding.
No, there's nothing radical. I mean, last year we had a lot of contracts that were due
Yeah.
for renewal, so we had a lot of kind of outstanding items,
I
but
think the major thing this year is insurance.
major, but we
We
already
don't have a choice.
But we don't have a choice, right? So we're already in insurance. The only thing that we could change potentially is health insurance, but that won't take effect until July of next year. So we really won't even have those numbers. We would have a best case
That's-
scenario, right?
Yeah.
So, and
Okay.
solid waste contract, we're in for another year. So
Right,
like
right.
waste management, that's not gonna go up. Our H2O innovations bill, that's not gonna go up because we're in that for another year. So
Gotcha.
some of our major contracts that are big budgetary swing items, we already have locked in.
Gotcha.
So, like I said,
Excellent.
there shouldn't be any radical surprises.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the proposed schedule for 2024. Looks great. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get that posted on the website and. move
We can
forward
skip
with
the
that.
next thing on your agenda.
We received our next thing on the agenda. We received our county tax bill from Grafton County in the amount of $1,969,842, and that is due on December 15th.
18th,
18th, excuse me, and,
good
but
thing tax bills went out.
tax bills have gone out, tax bills are, money's already rolling in, we should have no issues, we don't need a TAN, we have reimbursement coming from capital reserves, we have reimbursement coming from the bond. We're in good shape money wise, so we won't, be
What's
in a
the
crunch.
difference between last year's and this year's county assessment?
It's a couple $100,000, I think last year was 1.7.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yes. 1.7 low though, so a little over 2.
Yeah. I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it was 1.7 something.
Good.
Moving on, town holiday party. We are in the process of scheduling the holiday party. The tentative date, and location is December 8th at Riverwalk.
So at the Riverwalk itself,
At the Riverwalk.
last time we did Riverwalk, it was in,
Confirmation.
Right.
yeah,
It'll be in the,
new park.
No,
I don't
no, not in- yeah.
Like,
No,
I
I
know,
don't
really
mean
have
far
Like,
along
which
in the
is-
jackets.
Yes.
No, it's not in the new part, but
The
it has.
members club.
The
Yeah.
members,
Oh, gotcha.
The owners,
Yeah, the same.
Is- Is that where? is
we had
that-
butchers.
You had butchers.
It's not very big. Big enough,
Big enough, yeah, it's nice.
yeah. It is nice, very,
We'll see.
oh, it's fantastic, yeah.
We're waiting from Renee to get
Oh,
back to
gotcha.
Jane on it, so.
Okay.
Very
But
cool.
we want to get the date out just in case,
Yeah.
because we know
Sure,
the next 2 months are gonna go by fast.
yeah, no kidding, yeah. Awesome, thank you for
Okay.
that.
New police station. We had our first meeting with BTS last week to go over the bid proposal, permitting, and the construction schedule. Contract for services is being drafted and expected to be signed, by week's end, hopefully. The goal is to have the contractor on site starting in December to begin tree clearing and erosion control measures. So that
Fantastic.
ball is rolling. One thing that we did, one of the big hiccups right now with the contract is we didn't want to sign the contract and have an immediate change order. And there is question with, what they're proposing for a sewer line on Pollard Road. They're proposing a new line, and both Nate and Ray don't necessarily feel that a new line, we upgraded that line not too long ago. I don't remember the exact date, but within the last decade or so to accommodate a greater capacity or a greater flow. So they met at 2:30 this afternoon, but I didn't get a update from Ray yet. So they might need to revise the sewer numbers, which would work in the town's favor because it would reduce would take that out.
Right.
So we didn't want to sign the contract and immediately have a change order. We said we can wait another week
Yeah,
and work out,
makes sense.
and iron out what we
Yeah.
need to do and
Perfect.
move forward.
Thank you for that.
No problem. And then 2024 budgets, we kind of already went over that. I've met with everyone except for Nate, so you should have at least something on your plate in the next couple weeks.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, I do have
Go ahead.
one more thing
Yeah.
from Jason, that we can share in public. Nelson trial, I think we all have that on our calendars already. Nelson trial has been converted to a bench trial.
Right,
We knew
right.
that. It's scheduled right now for February 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, Tuesday through Friday.
Have it on all 4 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Wood jury selection has been scheduled for April 1 at 9 AM.
April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day, and trial is scheduled for April 22nd to April 30th, Tuesday, through the following
22nd through 30th.
Monday, Monday, the 22nd through Tuesday, the 30th. I did inform Jason that this is April vacation week for, the school kids in New Hampshire, and so, witness, this, I know that a few of the tentative witnesses are on the witness list, usually schedule vacations that month. Jason said he's already made the court aware of that. Yet that is what the schedule is. So as we get closer, we'll know more definitive details, I know. But I said, obviously that might come into play with not only jury selection, but also, witness, availability.
Can you give me the Nelson trial dates again?
February 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Thank you for that.
Anything else?
That's it.
Jack, do you have anything?
I
Yeah.
found out the Upper Pemmican Historical Society 2023 annual meeting is this Wednesday, 6 PM. And they have I forget who it was that's coming, but they're doing the old man, his life and legend over here, Inez McDermott from the New Hampshire Humanities.
Yes, we have a meeting.
They're gonna do that presentation, and then I don't have a meeting,
What's the date?
November 8th. Wednesday, November 8th.
That's tomorrow, in 2 days from now.
Yeah.
You have a planning board meeting.
Okay, I know it's.
Yeah.
I think it's the Board of Select. All right. We have a meeting.
Just ask me. I got your schedule all.
Thank you.
I know, we do not have a meeting. Do I have a?
No, planning board.
Planning board.
Yeah.
I knew I had a meeting, because I was interested in going. I even checked interested on Facebook, and then I was like, oh, I can't go.
But it ought to be cool with the history
Yeah.
of the old man. Sounds really neat, yeah. Hopefully they record it.
Anything else?
No, that's all I had, thank you.
I don't know if you got the email today from, Rapid County Economic Development, the annual meeting, and they were, because we haven't registered it. I am going.
Okay.
I did register today.
Oh, good.
I did put in a proxy vote just in case, but if you're there, they will just ignore the
Okay.
proxy vote.
Oh,
Okay.
good, perfect.
Yeah, so I'm going, I'll be there. Actually, it's just a Zoom meeting, I think.
I think it's in person as well, but I think it's.
Well, I'm joining by Zoom because I have another meeting at noon time. So, okay. And that was all I had. So, public participation, does anybody have anything, Paul?
Yeah, I do. Jack's aware of this, but we had a recent water main leak, water service leak on Upper Black Mountain Road. And Nate Hadaway assisted during this time, and he did a great job.
Thank you, Paul.
So-
We're lucky to have him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he helped Lincoln Trucking. He was there. He actually came in on a weekend to assist. So he did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you for making those comments. You know, we know we have a great department head there and he is just super responsive and helpful and accommodating and
Yeah.
it's good that-
Even he was blown away by it. I mean, it was a very rare. It had Nate, Taylor, Billy, myself. I mean, and we've got some years underneath our belt for fixing water services up there at Loon, at least I do anyway. And it was a difficult one to figure out, and not until we hired a company to come in and professionally try and locate the leak or the areas of the leak did we find it. And it was it just took the whole village to find it.
Wow.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we're lucky to have him.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I'll make a motion to go into non-public for a legal.
Review of
Wait,
Jason's.
before we do that,
Oh.
do we have anything in there that needs to be
Oh,
public?
no, this just needs to be initials.
Yeah, you just missed one initial spot, but,
Yes,
Oh,
Jack,
what
you
person's
initially
it?
forgot one.
no, Jack got it. Jack was the
I
only
got it.
one.
I'm saying it because I missed. No, there was one that you were missing also.
I think I told you that.
You know, right here. This is the one I missed.
I
That's
signed both
Tammy.
days, so we had-
You need to sign,
You're right.
yeah, but you, up here too, which is, I thought we just were signing down there. That was it. We both missed.
All right.
I just got to sign it before the
Thankfully,
meeting started.
Tom said it wasn't anything that was gonna hold Kurt up.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
Um,
the purchase and sales that we approved last meeting and signed. We just forgot one spot.
Yeah, just one initial thing.
You wanna read that first?
This, I haven't read the FEMA letters, but those are just the
The updated on the flood maps,
updates,
yeah.
yeah, all right, I'm not gonna. The board did receive a letter from the Board of Trustees for Linwood Ambulance dated yesterday, and it says to the Select Board of the Town of Lincoln, this is to inform you that David Tauber is no longer the chief of the Linwood Ambulance. As of today, November 5th, 2023, John Buford, MBA, NRP, FP-C, will be the interim chief of the Linwood Ambulance. Just
That's a lot of letters.
public information.
Is that it?
That's it. Now your motion?
Now I'll make a motion to go into non-public for legal.
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, thank
Thank
you
you.
everyone for coming,
Thanks for coming in.
participating, sharing.
I'm just gonna.
Wayne.
We did.
We did. Oh, we did.
We will look at. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.